the point I was trying to make is that although baseball is important, it was the national what?
Pastime.
And if one was to look in the newspaper, what we would think is the national pastime is shooting unarmed black men, because it seems like that's happening a lot more often than baseball games. What do you? Wait. What is that?
You continue to push the segue to
I do, because we need
violence,
to talk about it.
White violence against black people.
No. Because you know what? White people get beat up too. It's not a race issue. I've said this 1,000 times. Stop making it a race issue. It's not about race. Poor people are getting killed by the representatives of the rich. That's what it is.
I would like to just quickly, because this is an argument I had recently.
Sure.
Somebody brought up the point that crime statistics are much higher for black people.
Okay.
Than white people or any other race. And I said, well, if your entire life you spend being the victim of accusations and profiling, then you're going to naturally be more you're going to get picked off for more things than somebody who is unsuspecting.
That's part of it. Raise your hand if you've ever stolen something from a store. Raise your hand if you have a criminal record for stealing something from a store. Raise your hand if you've been caught stealing something from a store by the store manager. Really? Never been pulled in the back? Am I the only one?
No.
I want to talk about from personal experience then.
When I stole, I was 6 years old. I grabbed a magazine off the rack and I walked out with it.
But I can also say, as
I was reading it as I walked out.
A former shoplifter?
No, someone who has been the manager
somebody
of
used to be a petty criminal.
Businesses where people stole things. We didn't pull anybody to the back.
No, well, I got pulled to the back.
It's you recover the things that people are trying to take,
right?
And then you tell them you can't return to the store. And on any occasion, it didn't matter if they were white, black, Hispanic, Asian. If they stole something, I just wanted to make sure that I could get it back.
Okay, so
because it's an inventory issue.
Here's what I'm going to say.
I don't think it has anything to do with a race issue. I think it's people trying to make sure that they don't lose money.
Statistically, you are more likely to have charges pressed against you for shoplifting if you're a black woman than you are anyone who's white, and especially a white man.
I did catch a black woman stealing hot sauces off the wall at Nelson's once.
See, this
was on camera.
I'm going to use the Stephen Colbert argument to that and say, thank God we have solved the global warming problem because it was chilly where I am. And also, we've solved world hunger because I just ate. These are, I know.
That was just an aside. I just wanted to,
I'm
just thought.
I'm going to make fun of you the rest of this episode.
Okay.
Because baseball's so
is in most businesses is based on the volume that you have stolen. Because if somebody tries to steal one shirt, the business does not want to spend the money to prosecute that person
for the one shirt.
So people who are being prosecuted are stealing a high volume of merchandise.
Well, here's what I was saying.
Which is why they're being prosecuted. So I think I understand you're saying that that black people are being prosecuted more, but
or persecuted would probably be the
both.
However, that could also mean that they steal more volume-wise.
It absolutely could.
Any other race.
It absolutely could. But I think that the point of the matter is we have a systematic problem related to race. We have been convinced we have a systematic problem related to race. And maybe there is a race component in it, but that is not the issue. The issue is rich people are staying rich and poor people are getting poorer, and middle-class people don't exist anymore because they're poor too, and upper-middle-class people, well, they're still poor. Everybody's poor. You're either rich or you're poor. You're the rich or you're struggling, and there's different levels of struggling, I guess, but it's all the same.
Show of hands, how many people here are struggling?
Hashtag
the struggle. That's right. something else we're going to be starting is the hand gesture for hashtag. And just so you know, you make peace signs with both of your hands and cross those fingers. That's a hashtag.
Those on like Jimmy Kimmel or something like that.
Was it?
Or on Jimmy Fallon, I think.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, because I was about to give Erin the.
I thought she made it up.
No.
I was gonna say that she made it up.
That's a O the Anthem original.
Sure.
Patent pending. Okay, so we now.
She did that.
Sorry,
she did
EP.
that like 7 years ago.
You guys refer to her as EP.
Yes.
On the show,
So here's my point though.
EPZ3 on Twitter.
EPZ3 on Twitter. You know when there's a systematic problem. Can we at least agree there's a systematic problem with people getting shot by the police?
My upset the anger I felt at the Michael Brown story was not that Michael Brown got shot, which is obviously bad, but like because the more evidence that came out, the more it seems like he was just like an innocent passerby who got shot by the cops. But I would just like police to start getting charges pressed against them more often.
And here's my problem. I'm not looking for a guilty.
I just want them to go into court.
Yeah. The grand jury's letting them off is the biggest miscarriage of justice.
The Eric Garner one is the one that like really I don't get. For everybody who's saying that we need body cameras on cops, we had camera on this incident, and I felt like it was pretty open and shut.
It's all about how you view it. That's just the biggest sign that we have a systematic problem in the country is this. If you look at that video as an impartial observer, you say, well, that's going to go to trial. I have no dog in that fight. And I look and say, okay, he says, you're not messing with me today. Chokehold, dead. We should probably look into that. We'll see how that happened. And let him put on his justified defense or whatever else. Same thing as Darren Wilson. Go to trial. Put on the defense that it was justifiable homicide and move on from there. If you look at the video with a racist point of view, you say, that is a very big black man. That is a very small white man. And he is a police officer, and that guy is not following his orders. I could see. And when your initial reaction is, I could see why it's okay, versus we should at least have a trial, that's a systematic problem.
I think the bigger issue is that law enforcement are being more, proactive than reactive.
Yeah.
Like they're going into situations thinking that they're going to be worse than they could actually be.
Yeah.
So they're going into it with this mindset instead of, waiting to see what might happen. They just assume that these things are going to happen, and then they take the steps to resolve the issue that hasn't even happened yet.
To be fair, and this is something I've also pointed out, and I would like to again point out, because this conversation is going to be very heavy on the, like, let's get all the cops kind of thing.
When is it okay to shoot cops?
Rob wants that on the show notes, I'm sure.
I do.
A 27-minute long video about...
It's 11 minutes long.
It felt like it was like a half hour.
Yeah, but it's like a duck. It's like that duck and cover thing that our parents had to watch when they were in school. Because it's like, yeah, it's long and boring, but then when it comes, you're like, oh, I got to duck under the fucking desk. That's what I got to do.
Oh my god, nuclear bomb! I got to get under the desk.
Well, obviously, it's all the lead paint in the desk that protects you. So you're fine.
It's just a shield.
It's a shield of lead paint.
Lead paint. Yeah.
And that's what I realized. They want you to get under the lead desk.
Yeah.
It'll offer some kind of protection. But no, yes, it's 11 minutes long, and you watch it, and maybe it changes your point of view. Maybe it doesn't, but at least you have the information. You absorb it.
I feel like it might have been a little bit too much.
It's a little dry. I'm thinking
it's a little dry, and it's a little too like. You ever hear like somebody talking politics, and then you're like, oh, I can sort of get where this guy's coming from. Like I get his point of view, and he's just like, what we need to do is send all these Mexicans back to Mexico where they deserve to be.
Oh right,
and I'm just like, all right, well,
now you lost me. Okay,
it's not the immigration thing that bothers me, because like
phrase it.
If somebody's just like, well, I can't take these Mexicans stealing all our jobs, It's America. If they want to come here, they got to do it right. They got to fill out the proper paperwork and triplicate.
Right.
Get in fucking line, not jump the fence.
Right.
Bunch of Mexican, like when you hear somebody say that, you're just like, or like like a gay rights issue, like where it's just like,
how many groups can Corey offend in one podcast? No. How is the gay rights issue?
No.
I was hoping that you would have waited until he continued to move through each group.
I want to give him a chance to put his foot in his mouth, knowingly to do that.
No,
go ahead.
The point I'm making, along with the immigration issue with this one, is that every once in a while you hear the first couple steps of somebody's political statement.
Yeah.
You'll be like, oh, I can be on board. Oh, small government? Yeah. Local government? Yeah. That all sounds great. I would love to minimize the role of the government in my life. That sounds wonderful. And then when they're just like, I don't want these queers to get married, you're just like, wow, okay. Somebody really doesn't understand what's going on. Like, somebody really is out of touch with this. Like, you go from going like, all right, well, maybe this guy really understands what he's saying. Nope. Just like down the hill, like, nope.
I'm going to sample and pull out just that. I don't want these queers getting married. That's going to be my new ringtone. It's going to be Corey saying, I don't want these queers getting married. And then I'm going to go walking around Baltimore City and be like, oh, sorry, it's my guy. It's my friend.
It's my boyfriend.
It's my guy.
It's this guy.
My guy friend.
It's my guy I know. He's super.
Sorry, it's my top.
That's my bottom.
My top's on the phone.
Anyway, but no, yes, it's all about presentation.
He picks up the phone. He's like, hey, daddy.
Bomb.
Hey, daddy. Listen. Wait.
Sorry, I was choked on vomit.
Don't think like my daddy. Be my daddy. Anyway, so here's my point. Not that, daddy. No, it's become too real. It's no longer a stepmother and a stepson in a real age relationship.
I want to take the red pill.
Let me out. The riff has gone too far. We need to back out. No, so it's all about presentation, which is why I think we should have. When is it okay to shoot a cop?
We're back on this.
An O the Anthem production. That's what I'm saying. Let's do it.
We should make our own video about when to.
Yes, when to shoot a cop. When is it okay to shoot a cop? Not that
when to do it.
You should go out.
I will not
shooting
be
cops.
in any way involved with this.
We've done a lot of analytics, and we found that 5:17 p.m. is usually the best time. Yeah. 5:17 p.m. on Tuesdays are the best times.
When is it okay to
the
shoot
5:37 report?
Yes. So here's what I say. Everybody should watch it. It's a little dry, but it's informative. I think if you listen.
The video is the equivalent of those, like what I was saying there with like the like, you know, a really interesting point and then crazy talk.
Right.
Like this guy's just like it starts off well. Starts off with the like.
Are you at all surprised that the video is like this?
No, not at all. But
see, no, it seems crazy to you. It seems crazy to you, but it's not.
The first 45 seconds of the video, I was just like, okay, I get where he's going here. Like, you have to realize where there's a point where people have overstepped what is, like, they bring up the point of, like, Nazi police and all the other dictatorial leaders that have lived throughout time and how eventually the police force becomes sort of maintaining the rule of the government
rather than
the people.
Yeah.
And they said, like, well, if, you know, you were being taken in by Nazi police, wouldn't you shoot them? And everyone watching it goes, well, of course. If our police force becomes Nazis, then we should shoot them because I don't want to go on a...
You missed the whole point, though, because the point is that nobody did. Nobody did.
Right, but I'm saying that the point of that one singular point was very good.
Okay.
EP's
is
up.
It EP snoring? Anyway.
That's me.
Turn her mic off. Turn her mic off. Yes. Mic is on.
That one point was really good. I was just like, you know what? I was worried that I was going to get a crazy person talking about civilian justice, and I'm glad that this is not what what this video is about. And then all of a sudden it's just like, so you need to rise up. Police ain't no different than normal people. Go ahead, put that gun in their mouth and make them beg for their lives.
I'm just like, not wow. What that says.
Wow,
that is not in that video at all.
No, but it's basically the equivalent of a crazy person talking about.
Here. Can I just make a historical example here? I'm going to use people in the room and connect it to his story.
Can we be real about this?
Let's be real. Let's rap about it. I meant rap like presents. Right. I didn't mean like actual rap.
Down.
No, you're not.
Here's the thing. There are some cops out there who are very bad at their jobs.
Okay.
And there are some cops out there who are criminally bad at their jobs.
Yes.
And then there's some cops out there who are good at their jobs.
Right.
And there's cops out there who are just really dumb.
Okay.
And there's cops out there. It's everybody. Just like everybody in the world.
Yeah.
You know, there's... Unless you're talking about, like, fucking rocket scientists or brain surgeons... There's no Jerry's the real dumbest brain surgeon I've ever seen, you know?
Right.
Like when you talk about a job that almost anybody can get,
but that's my problem.
When you're talking about a job that almost anybody can get, you're going to get a menagerie of different types of people who are, and I don't want people to take their anger at police shooting unarmed black men
as carte blanche to shoot cops.
Carte blanche. Okay. Like, every single cop is terrible, and therefore every single cop must be eliminated, and therefore the cop who, you know, just works a foot beat and is just trying to keep an eye on the neighborhood, and, you know, he has a wife and 2.5 beautiful children, and they live in a nice, respectable home.
How's a half a kid beautiful? I feel like that'd be kind of a freak. Is it the top half or the bottom half?
It's
lengthwise?
It's split down the middle.
Right, yeah.
Right.
It's like half a twin?
It's like split a Tinder, right down the middle.
Okay, let's do a little game. Let's have a little game. Splitting. Evie just woke up.
Evie just woke up. She has no idea where she is.
To be fair, it is 4 o'clock in the morning, so. All right, so let's play a little game.
She doesn't know anything about Robbie and a bottom.
Tell me, you missed that. Tell me when we reach the point that it's okay. All right. So we have a police officer. They're all going to be police officers.
Okay.
Was found so mentally incompetent that he was dismissed from 2 police agencies before he was hired. Should that guy be a cop?
No.
That's the guy who shot Tamir Rice in Cleveland, a 12-year-old boy who had a BB gun. The cop knew it was a BB gun and shot him anyway, 2 seconds after arriving on scene. Arrived on scene, stepped out of the car, shot a 12-year-old boy, and the boy sat there for 6 minutes on the ground before they tried to even touch him. Okay?
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Sure.
Did you hear the dispatcher's conversation
with the police?
With the police.
Yes, where they say it is not a real gun. Yes.
No, that's the conversation that the dispatcher had with the person who was calling 911.
Okay.
The conversation that the dispatcher had that was communicated to the police did not say that the gun was fake.
Okay.
It said that they were waving a weapon.
Have you seen the video in the UK of a man who has a gun in his hands and the cops spend 4 minutes talking to him and then tase him and take him down and take the weapon away?
Oh, no. As I said, I'm playing devil's advocate.
Okay.
Here.
So that guy should not be a cop, though, right? We can understand that guy should not be a cop. Okay. Now, if you have 5 civil rights violations that led to 2 successful lawsuits on race relations, violations of civil rights, should you be a cop?
Civil lawsuits?
Yes. As in, your city, your employer, had to pay out because you said or did something super racist that led to the injury of a person of color. Should you be a cop?
Well, I would imagine that they would just fire you for incompetence.
That responsibility also lies on those who did not terminate.
We're going to get there. We're going to get there. Should that guy be a cop?
Probably not.
Okay. That first guy is David. Garner, yeah. First guy is David Lohman, who shot Tamir Rice. Second guy is Daniel Pantaleo, who choked Eric Garner to death.
Yeah.
Okay, now if you have previously said racist shit and gotten fired from a previous police agency, been so incompetent with your weapon that it took multiple attempts to pass the thing, and you have diagnosed anger issues, should you be a cop?
Probably not.
That's Darren Wilson, who shot Michael Brown. Now, are we going to agree that all those people shouldn't be cops? And you're saying there's good cops? I'm making an argument for that.
Right.
The person who doesn't fire any of those people, who hires them to be police officers despite that, is also a bad cop. And if you are the best cop in the world, you're the guy who has the 2.5 kids and the white picket fence and the dog, and you cover for any of those people. You wear a bracelet that says, I support Darren Wilson. You believe in the blue line, and you cover all of that stuff. You are a bad cop. And I use the Star Wars defense, which I've talked about on here before. If you cover for evil, you are evil. And I have no bones about eliminating you the same way that I would the bad cop who took a life.
But what I see from other policemen is there's this understanding of, I guess, them kind of questioning themselves on how they would have reacted if they were put in that situation. Because a lot of cops that we would say, oh, well, he's a good cop. Has he been in that situation where he would have been tested to see how that would happen?
I don't hold anybody else in the Ferguson, just rank and file on the Ferguson Police Department the same as I do Darren Wilson. The only other person that I would lump in with him would be whoever he sat down with to create the story that he told on that
bullshit ass fucking story. Yeah,
I'm not one to necessarily call people liars, but that story is a little bit
doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Well, it's also one of those he was punching me in the face for 3.5 hours, and you're just like,
do you see the bruise that I have?
That doesn't. How could anybody? I don't want to do anything for 3.5 hours.
Right.
I barely want to spend 3.5 hours watching movies, and I love watching movies.
Here's why I do blame them, because
somebody sat down with him and he told them the real story, this is what happened, and they're just
don't say that. Don't ever say that.
What actually happened was whatever, and they come up with the
okay, but here's the thing.
The line that he can say that isn't
for 4 months after that, other members of the Ferguson Police Department, the St. Louis Police Department, the St. Louis County Police Department, the SWAT teams all across the state of Missouri gassed their own people. They gassed the media and interfered with the media reporting on it intentionally. The guy, look, in the background says, hey, there's CNN, taps the guy on the shoulder, and they fire a tear gas canister at them.
Yeah.
That is fucking bullshit. That is a constitutional violation.
Oh, yeah.
And I hold all of those people responsible. And you know what we need to do? What we need to do is have a citizen corps of 1,000 people who all carry their own riot shields and their own bulletproof vests and their own weapons and their own gas masks and their own gas, for that matter. And when something like Ferguson happens, we line up 1,000 of our people against 1,000 of theirs. When we've reached that point, when we need people to protect civilians from the police, everything has changed. Because no matter whether all cops are good or not, every cop who got on that line and fired tear gas into a crowd of people has crossed over, and they are now evil, and that they are now the enemy.
Yeah.
And we need to treat them that way. And when society doesn't even goddamn indict these cops for doing that, we have reached a breaking point in our society, and we just have to come back from the brink. I can tell you now that there is no coming back from the brink. And in this room, I realize I'm the extremist. I'm the guy who's saying shooting cops is okay. And on the foundingthefuture.us blog, I'm in the midst of a series called The Acceptability of Violence. And in my opinion, violence is acceptable. And we're sitting in a room with much varied opinions. I'm Malcolm X, and you're Martin Luther King, and you're Mahatma Gandhi. Different levels. Different levels. I mean, Malcolm X said, by any means necessary. I don't care what color your skin is. If you're part of the struggle, I'll stand next to you, and we will do whatever it takes to get this done. And then, MLK, or I guess Mahatma Gandhi is the guy who says, only use violence in self-defense against violence against yourself. And then Martin Luther King's the guy who's like, whoa, no, there's never an excuse. Well, you never use violence. So,
to me, it seems like there's a couple things that we could do that would stem the tide a little bit.
Give me an example.
Well, first of all, maybe we should be doing more of putting the best people out on the field rather than just anybody.
Okay.
Because
we're going to have to replace 3/4 of the police in this country.
I'm not saying we have to do it all tomorrow. I'm not saying you walk in.
So what are we going to do for 6 people were shot in the last week?
Right.
6 people were murdered by police officers. One of them on Hollywood and Highland in front of a police brutality protest.
Yeah.
A police shot a man with a pocket knife in front of a police brutality protest on Hollywood Boulevard in Los Angeles. What are we going to do for the 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 families who lose family members in the time it takes us to do that, to replace the cops?
There's nothing that can be done overnight.
Yes, there is. You and I and everyone in this room and everyone in this town goes out and says, we are not going to take this anymore. And when the cops fire gas at us, we throw it back at them. And when they hit us with batons, we hit them with batons. And when they shoot bullets at us, we shoot bullets at them. That's how you fix it. You say, this far and no farther. And if you take our lives, we're going to take yours too.
I'm not one to minimize the plight right now.
Yeah.
Of all the people who have been gunned down by police.
Yeah.
But something tells me that your solution involves us having no police at the end of the day.
Yes, it does. It involves a period of transition.
And I would not want to be, as much as I don't necessarily feel safe when there's a cop around.
Right.
I do like the idea of them being somewhere.
And I think that I saw a cop on Facebook who took a picture of his shirt that said, "Don't like cops? Next time you're in trouble, call a crackhead." And my comment on that picture was, I think it's a better than equal chance that either one of those people will beat you over the head and rob you. Because, I mean, the only time I come in contact with cops now, when's the last time a cop did something good for somebody? A person who's in this apartment right now had her wallet stolen, her purse stolen. Was it the cops who did anything about that?
No.
No. The community stood up and did it. The only contact I've had with cops outside of my employment has been when the road pirates pull me over and get their treasure from me, the $70 a pop, $80 a pop. When I stopped on the side of the road to videotape DUI stop, and the cop told me that if I didn't leave, he was going to arrest me and have my car towed. And then he called the tow truck, and the tow truck actually showed up, and then I left because I didn't want my car towed, which is also road piracy.
Here's a just general idea of something that I feel like everybody could do, and it would make the entire process a lot better. Mm-hmm. Learn the law. You don't need.
It doesn't fucking help you. Though.
You don't need to. You don't need to know the whole. You can get by with a lot when you know a little.
When we lived in Ridgely's Delight,
yes,
we knew the drug dealer who ran that neighborhood. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
When you saw him, were you scared of him?
No.
Did you every time you saw him be like, "Yeah, what up, man?"
Yeah.
Why?
He was a perfectly fine guy.
I'm nice to that guy. Never had any problems with my car. Never. He knew who I was. He knew what my car was. I never had, although there was transient crime in that neighborhood, not a single time did anybody break into my car. Sometimes I was really dumb and left electronics and everything else out. Nobody broke up. I attribute that to the fact that the guy who ran the neighborhood knew who I was, knew I was white, probably, and also we were on a friendly basis. I know you're selling drugs. I don't give a shit. You do your thing, I'm going to do my thing. I'm not going to leave you alone.
Yeah.
In that neighborhood, if something had gone down, you know who I talk? I don't call the cops when my car gets broken into. I go up to that guy and I'm like, "Yo, I thought we had an agreement here. I don't call the cops when you're selling drugs in the stoop. You keep my car from getting broken into." I would go talk to him. I wouldn't call the cops. They're not going to do anything for you.
No, what I'm talking about is when the cop says, "I'd like to search your car," for instance.
Right.
It's like, fine, show me your warrant, and then we can get on with this.
Okay.
Like, I feel like it probably a solid 80 to 90% of Americans,
right?
If the cop was just like, I just want to search your car,
they would say, okay.
They'd be like, okay.
Right.
And but how many Americans would be lied to by the police?
And
all
of them.
Because
and the ones,
yeah, exactly.
And the
because
ones,
I have been lied to by the police.
Yes. And the ones who are guilty, the ones who have something to hide,
right,
would put up some sort of front rather than the like, I don't believe you have a warrant to search my car.
Right.
They would do the like, you're like, why do you need to do it?
Well, here's the thing, though. You don't have anything to hide. He says, can I search the car? Does he search the car?
I have personally been in this
Does
situation.
He search the car?
He asked me if he could search my car. And I said, why do you want to search my car? And he said, if you don't have anything to hide, then you don't have anything to worry about.
Right. Did he search the car?
No, he did not search the car.
Told him
because I said, if I don't let you search my car, will you arrest me? And he said no. And I said, okay, you can give me my ticket and I'll go on my way.
And I will tell you that if you were black, it would not have gone down like that. You would have been probably dragged out of the car on some bullshit charge.
I was already out of the car at that point.
Had your car searched. You would sit in the back of a cruiser and had your car searched. I have the ability, because of my gender and my race, to walk up to a cop and say, go fuck yourself, get a goddamn warrant, and then come back.
Yeah.
And unless you have a warrant, if you come through this door, I'm going to kill you.
See, that's a little far.
I have done that.
I didn't tell that cop I was going to kill him if he looked in my trunk.
Yeah.
I have done that before.
See, but I feel like if you give see, this is the part of the shooting cop video that I just didn't like comprehend. Because like I feel like there's a lot of steps in between me telling somebody no and killing them.
Okay.
Like, if you said to me, like, can I borrow $20? And I was like, no, I'd prefer you not borrow $20.
And I kill you.
Yeah, and then it's just like, you're just like, come on, man, just give me $20. It'll really help me. And I just shoot you. Okay. Like, I told him no. Told him he wasn't allowed to do it.
But that's not the point.
He looked at my wallet in a way that made me think that I was in fear of my $20 being absconded with.
Okay, that sounds more familiar.
Then, like, but there's got to be the at least like the time period in between initial reaction and.
But I think what you're assuming that it was saying to jump to that thing, and it wasn't. It was saying if this happens, the eventuality is you have the right to do this, and I completely agree with that. Because a cop comes up to your window and says, "I'd like to search the car," and you say no, and he says, "What? You got something to hide?" No, I don't have something to hide, but you're not searching my car. And he says, "I think I smell raw marijuana. Get out of the car." Now what? He has probable cause based on smelling raw marijuana. And I'm not going to use anybody specifically example. I'm asking it to the room. I'm saying that they always smell raw marijuana, by the way, which has almost no smell.
Well, first of all, when he
that wasn't me, BT Dubs. Where the cop supposedly smelled raw marijuana. Just to be clear,
here's how this turn of event goes.
Yeah.
You get pulled over. He says, "Can I search the car?" I say no. He's like, "Well, if you have nothing to hide, then you have no reason to worry about this." And I say, "Unless you're hiding a warrant somewhere on you, then I would prefer you not search my car."
And your white skin keeps your ass from getting beat right there. But let's keep on going with this example.
And then when he says, "I believe I smell raw marijuana," I ask him, for what reason did he initially pull me over?
Right. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter anymore?
Now, if you are stopped, you're being detained, and he smells marijuana, that's probable cause to search your car. Welcome to America in the 21st century.
Okay, but, lawyer.
Yes.
If they say they smell marijuana and they search your car, and they find something unrelated to marijuana, but do not find the marijuana that was said to have been smelled,
you're guilty. You're still going to jail for whatever they find. They find pills when they're searching for marijuana. That's what we call a plain view found it in plain view because it is pursuant to a search on another. So they pretend that they smell marijuana to search your car. That's the whole point.
So basically what I'm asking you, if I paid for your legal services, would you be able to get me off of that charge?
No. My job isn't to get you off of those charges. My job is to make a deal with the state that gets you as little punishment as possible. Because the reality is you go in there guilty. You're already guilty. No matter what the state says, you're guilty. There are 9 times out of 10, if I can't beat it at a pretrial motions hearing, I'm not going to beat anything. It's about getting you a deal. So that's why we have this thing called an Alford plea, which says that I'm not guilty, but you could probably prove I'm guilty, so I'm going to take a plea in my best interest. Because nobody beats charges unless it's on a pretrial motions. That's it. Nobody beats charges. So they find something in your car, you're going to jail, unless I can get you a better deal that doesn't have any jail time attached to it. And your example, you say, do you have a warrant somewhere? He says, I smell marijuana, get out of the car. You say no, he reaches in and opens the door, which also a constitutional violation.
Yeah.
And yanks you out of the car. And then proceeds to search the car despite the fact that you said no. He puts you in cuffs despite the fact that you're disagreement. And let's say he finds nothing in your car. Let's say you know 100% sure there's nothing in your car.
Right.
And, well, turns out you got a dime bag in your glove box. Weird. I knew I smelled it. There it is. And now you've justified the search, and you're going to jail for possession of a plant, by the way.
Yeah.
Just a particular plant that we don't like.
Well, in Maryland you wouldn't get...
Depends how much it is. More than 10 grams, you're still going to jail. But let's say it's more than 10 grams.
Yeah.
You have an ounce. Oh, wait, not a dime bag. You had this ounce. How did you forget you had this ounce in your glove box? Good shit, too. I can smell it. And now you're going to jail. That is the reality of life for 27% of our population.
Yeah, but how do you propose that we could find... How do you find people? Like,
here's what we do.
In advance?
Here's what we do. I know I don't have drugs in the car. He reaches in and unlocks the door and gets out. As soon as I am pulled out of the car, I press a 45 to the back of his skull, and I blow what's the interior of his head out to the outside, and I get back in the car and I walk away.
I'm saying after the transitional period that you speak of, which I would call probably the purge.
Not the purge. The revolution.
How do you propose finding those that would basically just non-racist people?
Here's
what
I
determine that these people are not going to be doing the same thing as everybody else.
You want to know the one that would really fuck with them? Just when they say, "Oh, I think I smell marijuana," I'll be like, "Oh, do you now?"
Mm-hmm.
And they'll be like, "Open up the car door, open it out, drag me out, put me in handcuffs." I just sit casually on the curb. I'm just like, "Okay, Google." Can you please turn on my camera?
Mm-hmm.
And then just wait for him to hear me saying this,
right,
and then
more anti-iPhone conversation.
What camera are you turning on?
Yeah,
the one that's inside my property.
Yeah, except for and here's what he's gonna do. He's gonna turn you and laugh and be like, "That dude in New York choked out a big black dude on camera." Didn't get anything. I don't give a shit about your fucking camera, which is why body cameras don't matter.
Yeah.
But what is my solution? My solution is you should read Chapter 4 of the movement, Insurrection, because that's where I set my example. But I'll give you a preview. It's doing exactly what Saddam Hussein did in Iraq. It's taking...
There's a wonderful example.
I was going to say, okay, well, this is going in a good direction.
I hate when people automatically shut down an idea because somebody who's...
Just kidding. I'm kidding with you, sir.
Nonetheless, what he said is, okay, you're from Tikrit, and you want to be a police officer. That's great. You are never going to serve in Tikrit. I'm going to move you up to somewhere else, and I'm going to have you be a police officer there. And you're going to be serving in a community that is a majority of a different belief system. You're Sunni, you're going to a Shia place. And the thousands of years that Shia would have oppressed the Sunni. But what you know is you also have a Sunni police officer down in Tikrit who is from this area. So your family is being guarded by somebody of a different religion, and you're guarding his family up north. And it keeps the fucking peace. because messages spread. And as soon as a bunch of Sunni police officers start murdering Shia or into Crete, they know that you're going to start murdering Sunni in your city. And it keeps the balance. You ship people to different parts of the country, you train them well, and you don't rule them with an iron fist, but you protect yourself and you protect the people that way.
Maybe we'd be doing a lot better if we just did the training well part.
That would absolutely be, and if we stopped,
not just police, but citizens.
It's a self-selecting group to be police officers, which sucks.
If citizens knew a little bit more about the law, then I imagine that cops would stop trying to get away with shit that they can't legally get away with.
If cops knew a little bit more about the law, I find that 9 times out of 10, the cops don't know what laws they're enforcing. They start quoting law to me, and I'm like, "The fuck are you talking about?" And I love my favorite part. My favorite part is when I let them rant and rave. This happened in Ocean City when I was there on vacation. And the guy spent like 20 minutes explaining the law to me. And I was like, everything you said is wrong. And he was like, oh, is that right, smart guy? And I'm like, I turned to the girl and I was like, here's the funny part. And I pulled out my lawyer's ID and I gave it to him. And he was like, oh, you're one of those.
One of those?
One of those educated lawyers who knows you're full of shit? Yes, that's me.
Well, when you think about it, an attorney who knows the law. Yeah. How long did you go to law school?
3 years.
How long does a police officer have to be in training?
6 weeks.
And these are the people that are upholding the law that they don't know.
Right. So that's what training is a great idea. And training them is perfect. And training Americans to be better off. But to bring this thing full circle, the problem is I have a trouble getting your attention. A guy gets choked out on the street, and the grand jury doesn't indict him. And 20 minutes later, you're like, Kim Kardashian's got her ass out on Paper Magazine? Holy shit!
You don't have trouble getting my attention. I'm fine. I was very upset that he wasn't indicted.
Right.
We just have to, like... There are many steps in between the quietly telling police to stop.
Right.
And, your very deadly solution.
You want to cook spaghetti, right?
I can't wait to see how this turns into an argument about police.
You got the water on you got the water on the stove. It's up. You're bringing it to a boil, right?
Right.
And every 2 or 3 minutes, you take it off and you set it to the side, and then you put it back on. When are you going to bring that water enough to a boil to make your spaghetti?
Never.
Yeah, it'll never get there. And that's my problem. If you want real change, people have to be passionate enough.
Your solution is opening up the cupboard, pulling out the spaghetti, looking at it, and as soon as it doesn't cook itself, you shoot it.
No. My solution is this. If you read this upcoming week's the Acceptability of Violence series on foundingthefuture.us blog, what you're going to see is that my proponent is somebody has to be extreme because that keeps it in people's minds enough that real change can happen. Do I realistically want all the things I've said now tonight to actually happen? No. But I say enough extreme shit that people keep it in the forefront of their minds that keeps the water on the stove long enough to bring it to a boil. Now, the way that I want to isn't so much pulling it out and shooting it. It's heating it instantly, however that would happen. But it heats it instantly, you know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. And instead of doing that, we let it slow boil and it gets there. But without somebody saying this extreme shit, we never get there.
Yeah.
Because baseball happens or football happens or Kardashian's ass is out or Madonna is doing porn again or whatever, and we get so fucking distracted that we never get there.
Speaking of which, this is a big weekend for the Fantasy Football League. He just reminded me.
Well, yes.
Anywho, you can find O the Anthem at otheanthem.com, O the Anthem on Facebook, Twitter, Google+.
You're the worst kind of person.